Hello, everyone and no one, and welcome to another Rotten Movie Reviews. Had a little bit of delay there because we were kind of bullshitting. I will introduce the panel real quick, and with me, as always, is Tier Alexander. Tier, how you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. How are you?
Not so bad. And again, since we're continuing with the series of this, we have with us Will at Forge. Will, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. You still haven't kicked me off the show.
And then round us out for the square that's not actually round in that whole situation, we have Angela Arriaga. Angela, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Am I pronouncing that last name right? Or have I been
Arriaga?
butchering?
Yes.
Okay. I want to make sure I wasn't butchering it for like 30 episodes.
No, you're fine.
James unfortunately could not be here. He is having things to do with his family, which, hey, it happens. You know, it's just the way things go. We are continuing the Tremors TV series. We did episodes 8, 9, and 10. A Little Paranoia Among Friends, Flora and Fauna, and Graboid Rights.
Graboid rights.
Although on the one thing they spelled it wrong, they have Graboid. Graboid Rights. Graboid. But, dear God, the Flora and Fauna was good, but honestly, of those 3 episodes, it was the weakest.
That was the one with the
Planimal.
killer milkweed.
Yeah. Well, it was a mixture. It was a mixture of plant and animal. So that's whether he had Larry going Planimal. Larry, the luckiest man in the world, basically.
Right.
Beyond lucky. You see, it was up to that point. I'm like, okay, feed him to the plant, feed him to the worm, feed him to the plant, feed him to the worm. That one scene came up, and it's like, damn, he's gonna survive this.
Yeah,
he can't die.
There's no way they can kill him after that.
Oblivion.
But we have, a little paranoia among friends. So Bert and Tyler get sent to New Mexico because they think at New Mexico that in this little town, they believe that their friends and family are being disappeared because they're being abducted by aliens. Twitcher believes it's a graboid thing, so he sends Bert and Tyler there. And Bert gets called a Fed. It was like
more than once.
Like he had to go through everything. It's like all Bert had to do with the whole thing was just not say they're crazy, being like, all he had to say was not you're crazy. It's with the evidence I have, I don't believe you're correct. And if I'm proved wrong,
but that's not Bert.
I'm proved wrong. Yeah. That's not Bert.
But you also look at they were a group of true believers too, so that better than 50% chance of making it, but less than 65.
Yeah. Oh.
It was hilarious though, going into that scenario, watching Bert thinking he's just found himself a whole town of kindred spirits.
Yeah.
And then they start talking about UFOs.
I almost died. I'm sitting here going, Bert is calling other people paranoid. This is wonderful.
Oh, God.
Right, Bert's not paranoid. He had every reason to be.
Bert is paranoid. Just because you're paranoid does not mean there is not a monster under the stairs waiting to eat your face off.
I'm not paranoid. They just spread that rumor to discredit me. I mean, the way things were going, it was almost like
the use of words expressing something other than their literal intention. Now that is irony.
Just with the way that episode went. Oh dear Lord! Actually, I want to go back over to OBS and switch to this thing because I got a couple more pictures in there that I've added. Finding pictures for this show is actually extremely difficult. I'm gonna have to start go back and do screenshots.
I'm not
but-
at all
and-
surprised it's difficult. It
and-
was a short-lived series.
And then they had to go through the whole thing of like Tyler having to say that they're feds and that the graboid was the
that was-
alien, even though it's like
Yeah.
we know from earlier ones, like they are natural to the planet. I won't lie though, for Flora
It
and
got
Fauna,
the people to listen.
it did. And then when the one dude was trying to bring him on this radio show, and he's just like,
Oh yeah,
No.
"Oh no,
yeah,
no."
Armin
Do
Zimmer.
not make me-
I was happy. That is Quark from DS9, one of my favorite shows, and I was happy that he was on there.
As the lunatic French conspiracy theory radio host.
Even better.
Yeah, I never watched Star Trek.
It's
Wasn't
okay.
wasn't my thing.
We forgive you.
But I
Oh, this
loved right
isn't-
at the beginning of
Oh, so this
that
isn't me
episode.
dogging on Star Trek. I'm not doing the whole
I'm
like Star
just
Wars versus Star Trek thing.
teasing.
You
He was
can
the
try to
president.
hold it against me all you want. I'm just gonna be like, "Pff, whatever, nerd."
Oh,
I am
I'm in as bad a
nerd. Don't.
I'm in as bad a ground as you there because I watched all of them. So
I
the
haven't
nerds
seen
in
all
the nerds in the different camps all hate me for taking part in the other camp.
I've only seen the good shit. I haven't seen any of modern Trek.
Because like I
That's
don't care
best.
about any like I did not hate Force Unleashed, but like I also didn't really hate the prequels too much. I will still say they're not as good as the original trilogy, but it goes the whole thing. We'll continue on. I did like the fact that they were able to get it. It was rather funny the fact that Bert finally was going to get to use his 50 BMG, and
Oh,
So bad for
he didn't get to shoot it.
Yeah.
I somehow peeled off freaking some skin on my thumb when I was opening a can of chili earlier with my other thumbnail. I don't even know how. I was just like, I wasn't going that fast. Ugh,
how does that happen?
I don't know. My body's weird.
Rotn is very, very good at hurting himself.
He
You'll
is
learn-
throwing
But
stuff in
surviving through everything, considering the fact statistically I should have been dead by the earliest is at least 17. Probably before that.
there. Ryan
I
has
mean-
the devil's luck.
Yeah, I actually track certain eras of my life, near death experiences, and you've got me like, how does that happen?
Yeah, because like the best one is the whole fact that at 17 my appendix ruptured in the middle of winter while I was pushing carts for Sam's Club, and then 2 weeks later I went to the hospital for it.
2 weeks?
Yes.
Ryan, never do that shit again.
Well, I can't. I only had one
Said it.
appendix.
Which means
You'll
that
figure out a way. I can already tell you'll figure out a way.
But no,
Well, there's a will.
it was about a 1 in 1 or 100,000 or 100,000 chance that when my appendix ruptured, it did what mine did, which it encased itself in a 2-inch diameter ball of pus and infection. So I was miserable for 2 weeks.
Oh,
Now,
that's great.
the really funny thing about this entire story, or the two things in that one, is one, that was one of the shittiest freaking stays in the hospital because I actually had to stay there about a week. But when they were going to release me and everything, he's like, "Yeah, so you should be able to go to school back on this day." I was like, "Doc, that's like 3 days before spring break. I'm not going before then." He goes, "You're right, you're not." I was just like, "My man." My mom almost wanted to be like, "Excuse me, Kurt." It's like, I don't care. Like, it's 3 days before spring break. I don't need to go back 3 days before spring break.
Hold on, Mom. Just let me.
Okay, actually, I should say 3 things because the next one that happened after that was after being there. No, that was that was after my appendix ruptured. So I'm back home, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go for a drive because I just gotta get out of here. Well, about half a mile to a mile away from my house, I almost hit a deer in my 85 S10 Blazer. And I was like, well, it's a good thing I didn't hit it, but man, been kind of funny if I would have hit it. No, I'd pick it up, it's like grab it, bring it to the house and everything so I could gut it. I try to make sure I got blood right over where my shirt was from that whole thing. I'd come in home like, oh, Mom, I think my stitch is ripped. You know, she'd be like, oh my God, blah, blah. And it's just like, nah, I'm good. I hit a deer. That'd been the one time I'd have gotten a major ass whipping from from my mom, and then had my dad get home and him hear the story, laugh, and probably do the same thing. And it would have been worth it. Like, I told my parents that. They're just like, yeah, I'd have beat your ass for that one.
Yeah, I can see that. Of course, the world I live in, I know that you actually have a significant chance of buying it hitting a deer at 80, because that's usually when you...
Oh, no, I wasn't doing 80. It was like 40.
Oh. 40's okay, though it'll total your car.
No, it depended on the vehicle. I mean, like I said, it was an 85, so it was more metal.
Oh, that is true. Well, that was kind of the divider between
shit. And now I keep remembering ones that are just kind of funnier in hell. Like we had it's like friends and some family over and whatnot, and our boxer at the time, Duke, had a leg spasm, and I'm trying to back people away because they're trying to freak out. My mom comes rushing in and like does a box out move, pushing me away. And since we have the fake hardwood floor, I legitimately like slid back like 3 feet. And this is like a week and a half after getting after getting back home, and I'm just sitting there, like on my ass. Saying, well, she got me in the chest, not in the stomach. Just looking at her like, Mom, I had it under control. You're good.
I'm fine, Mom.
Like, she's just like, why would you go after the dog when I have it under control? She's like, I freaked out and that whole thing. It's like, yes, and I got everyone away. I had it under control. But the absolute whole best thing about the entirety of what happened there was I used to go to this place called the Career Line Tech Center. And I was there for electronics and whatnot. And for the 2 weeks before I got diagnosed with my appendix being ruptured, like, I was miserable. And all my classmates thought I was faking it. All of a sudden, I'm gone for like 2 weeks. And apparently,
I thought you were dead.
They thought I was dead. My instructor knew what was going on and didn't say anything to him. So like after spring break happens, I show up and they're like, "You're alive!" And I'm like, "Yeah, my appendix ruptured. I'm good," and whatnot. They're like, "We thought you died," and my instructor's just like, "That's what you get for being a dick." Not those words, but he's just like, "Yeah, I knew. I didn't tell you guys. Like, why didn't you tell us?" He's like, "Because you were giving him crap because you thought he was faking being miserable. So you get to deal with that." They're just like, "You are evil. Well done, sir."
Bravo. Quasimo.
So, of course, as a local, you've piqued my interest there. Ottawa or Kent?
Ottawa.
Okay.
Even though that, like, we travel a ways. What's really funny is where that one is, about, I think, 5 to 6 miles directly west of that is the my grandparents' house that my mom grew up in. Yep, that was the place where I got attacked by a German Shepherd with heartworms.
Ooh.
Yes, that's how I ended up with like 300 stitches in the dome, and I'm missing chunks of my left and right ear. That is also the place to where, as far as I'm aware of, for all of the grandkids, the kids, and even most of the parents, all somehow got hurt by the willow tree. In some way, shape, or form. We still don't understand it. We don't question either.
It's cursed.
We just leave it be. Well, no, it's like it's not like you get hurt super bad. It's that whole thing. It's like you have to get hurt at least once, and then you're good. It's like, if you were, as the grandkids went out, like if we were climbing the tree, it's like things would seem shaky and whatnot until you like fell and kind of got a boo-boo and whatnot. Like you didn't have to go to the hospital. You just had to like bop your head or some shit or skin your knee or whatnot. And then everything fine.
Okay, so your family's gotten lucky. Anyone else moves in there, the willow tree's going to be killing people right and left.
Oh, my uncle lives there.
He's part of your family,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
He's safe.
He's safe. He's probably had his boo boo from the curse. So
you know,
I'm
he's
talking about-
got his wife, his wife and his stepdaughter there and everything. So it's still in the family and everything. It's just
that's just preservation of the public.
But
Some other family buys that property, that willow tree is going to become a killer again.
I don't think it's killed anyone
Yet.
I'm not buying it. After that story, I'm sure somebody's died.
Probably. I don't know. I don't really care. To be honest with you. But to get back to the TV show, so episode 9 then, Flora and Fauna, they're going back to Mixmaster, and we get a plant that's mixed with plants and like several plants, and then like a lizard or something.
Some kind of reptile.
Plantable.
Yep.
Plantable.
So like a plantable, which is what Larry's the one who coined it. And yeah, I was really waiting for Larry to bite the dust.
Yeah, I figured, okay.
Because he was super annoying at the beginning of Project 412, and he's super annoying in this. I think he's got like 1 or 2 more episodes that he shows in.
Oh.
I don't remember.
oh boy.
Look into this real quick. Let's see if we can find him.
Again, he's the annoying fan. He's the living version of the annoying fan.
Yeah.
From Oblivion. Like, he can't
He is
die.
in 4 episodes, so we have 2 more with him.
Oh.
I bet you he's in the key.
That's worse than going on Clippers.
Yes, he is in. Okay, he was apparently also somewhere in Grabloid. Or apparently, it's not Grabloid; it's Graboid Rights. I'd have to. Let's see real quick.
Must have been like a background
Extra.
player there, because an extra.
Yeah,
Because they were
apparently it is
definitely-
Graboid. That it is not Grabloid Rights. Huh. Weird.
Because they definitely, he was not playing in character
Yeah.
in that one.
He is probably an extra background character, but he is also in the Sound of Silence.
The sounds of silence.
It's not Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh,
You must
Who
not
said
be a
I
major
do not know?
character if it's the sound of silence.
Yeah.
That guy
Well,
couldn't
it's
shut
sound.
up.
it's like a
It's
cancer growing.
Sounds of Silence.
Doesn't matter. He
Yeah.
couldn't shut up if you paid him.
Which, of course,
Well,
has my brain doing
he
the...
actually kind of did for a bit, like when shit got hairy and whatnot. But he walked right by the.
metal.
He did walk by the plant that killed 3, or the plantable that killed 3 people.
out of
Yeah, but-
ignorance, though. I mean, it wasn't him doing it with guts. It was him being a clueless moron who just managed to track Bert down.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
saying that I
Go ahead.
don't. I'm not saying I don't find him adorably annoying.
Well,
It's just that he is annoying.
It's J.D. Walsh, and like he played that character well because he's been in quite a bit of stuff as well. He was the sales tech in Bad Boys 2. He's been in an episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Apparently, he was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, he's been in a lot of TV shows.
So nothing worth watching. Got it. Mm.
I didn't hate The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It wasn't great.
So
2,
Nothing
that
worth
one was the one with Electro.
yeah.
yes,
Gotta keep my stuff straight.
Oh, apparently he was the clerk in the music video for Puddle of Mud, She Hates Me. Yeah, he's been in like CSI, NCIS, iCarly, 2.5 Men, Criminal Minds, The Mentalist, Bones.
So a bit player.
Yeah,
okay.
That's where I recognize him from then.
because he's also
But
been in an
not a-
episode of Castle, 911. Apparently he's been in a few episodes of the Animal Kingdom. Kaminsky Method. I still need to watch the rookie with Nathan Fillion. Did that ever get a second season?
I don't know. I actually need to watch it too.
Well, it's
I
got
have not yet seen
99
it, which is
episodes.
saying a lot because I love
I've
Nathan
got
Fillion.
it's got 6 seasons. I've got the first season. I just have to watch it.
First season of what?
The Rookie.
The rookie.
Nathan Fillion, basically he pursues becoming a police officer after having a life-altering event of, I believe it's a bank robbery that he's at.
Okay, I've never seen The Rookie.
We literally just said we haven't either.
Like I said, I have the first season. I just have yet to watch it. But yeah, so Flora and Fauna was pretty cool for the fact, they had to do that whole kind of like hang gliding type thing, or not hang gliding necessarily. I'd call it closer to parasailing.
Yeah, a very jerry-rigged solution. Although there were some things in that episode that were, painfully inconsistent. I mean, okay, as I pointed out when watching it, a drilling rig in graboid territory is you dumb. And yeah, they said that they had what was it 3-inch
3-inch
steel
thick steel
floor?
plates. Yeah.
Yeah, but you look at it and it's like, okay, if those are plates with joints, not a solid piece, yeah, El Blanco may not be able to break through the plates individually, but he's going to be more than willing to try and push up gently, maybe not ram it, but push up gently and see if he can displace them.
I think the plates were supposed to be like 8 foot by 8 foot or something, because you can get them that big. So I have a feeling it's like they went through the whole thing of going to do that for that, because that's why they said they did that, and it's only around where they're going to be working, so it's to keep they're not impeding on everything.
Mm-hmm. I saw the first thing I saw was joints, and I'm like,
yeah, because it's plates. They're not going to be able to have a fucking 60-foot 3-inch piece of plate steel.
Well, right, but it's if nothing else, weld it. Sure, you're going to have to do it intermittently because of the noise and everything. But if it's a solid piece because they brought it in pieces and then made it solid, it's at least
solid.
It's solid. He can upset it. He can tilt it, but he can't just come up under a seam and all of a sudden your graboid proof floor is no longer graboid proof.
Yeah.
But haven't they shown to be been able to get around shit like that?
Sometimes, but not too often. Typically, with El Blanco, if he can't get through it, he just tends to ignore it.
Right.
He goes around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'll try coming up through the floor, and if he can't come up
go ahead.
Yeah, it's in the first episode because he came through the floor of the store.
Yeah, which I am really surprised they did not concrete.
But I was going to say that's also how they figured out where the lab was.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or he believed the lab is.
Wall. Well, yeah, because it got to the wall of the lab and then suddenly made a 90-degree turn.
Yeah, nature doesn't have right angles. And he traveled straight. So you had this worm who normally travels in a serpentine path, do a perfect 90-degree angle and travel at a straight line for a significant period of distance. This is not natural behavior anywhere.
Yeah.
If you don't have a barrier keeping you on that line or a barrier making you turn like that, it ain't going to happen.
But for this episode, this wasn't so much about El Blanco. It was about something else.
Right.
And for what we're aware of with the way the plant was, it might have had some repellent, basically, in a way to stop El Blanco. Or to ward it, basically.
The plant part didn't concern me, and you figure if he even had a minor brush with the edge of that plant, graboids aren't big on pain.
Yeah.
So even the slightest brush with the plant, okay, organic acid, but traveling through that much dirt that quickly is going to dilute it to the point of non-viability in no time.
Yeah. I still will say
So-
this, going back an episode, when Bert uses the concussion grenade to try to save the freaking sheriff or whatever, or the deputy, I was half expecting him to get regurgitated up, but then just be dead. But the fact that the deputy got bit in half was kind of
Yeah.
funny.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Well,
Again,
that was perfect. And you look,
when he started.
and you looked at the way he was acting and everything. Is like, say, please let the cop get the worm treatment.
Yeah.
Get the worm.
I wanted to get the worm treatment, but
But we're going to continue on, and we're going to go to episode 10, Graboid Rights.
Oh.
And I do wish that they could have gotten the actual woman who played Mindy in the original
Ariana
movie.
Richardson.
Ariana Richardson. They probably could not afford her. I wouldn't necessarily see why not.
I also think she wasn't really acting at that time.
Say that scheduling conflicts, maybe not acting. I mean, there's a number of reasons why it might not work out. Although that would have been great. It was like, hey, we'll pay you this much to do the shoot for this one episode of a TV show.
That was 2003, and yeah, since then, the only thing she has done is the TV movie Battle Dogs in 2013, so apparently she was not acting at the time. So after Tremors 3, she was just like, nah, bro, I'm done. For a while.
Huh?
Yeah, I remember I knew that she just wasn't doing movies or TV or anything for a while. I don't even know if she ever actually came back.
She came back for a TV movie called Battle Dogs in 2013
Okay,
as
there you
Donna
go.
Voorhees.
That's
Inauspicious name.
Battle Dogs. A werewolf virus is unleashed upon New York, and Major Hoffman looks for a cure while Lieutenant General Manning wants to establish a new canine army.
okay.
Fuck.
Sounds fun.
And by Voorhees, it's Voorhees.
Yes, it's the same spelling as Jason.
I didn't know how that one was spelled. Didn't
Nope.
care.
There's an H there with that.
Yes.
Yes.
So so there are those. Have you ever seen Night of the Creeps?
Yes.
Like some of the characters are named at the original director named some of the characters like Cronenberg because of his favorite horror directors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna have to watch this. I mean, we got so we do have, Ariana Richards, but we have Bill Duke, Ernie Hudson. I cannot pronounce a firm Jambalja? No, He's been in a shit ton of stuff. He was he played Carlos in the Resident Evil movies, if I remember correctly.
What's the name of this movie?
Battle Dogs.
Battle Dogs. At
Give
least
me
I
a
think it's
second.
the same guy. No, this is a different guy.
When a strange
No.
werewolf virus threatens to
Yeah. No, this is a
decimate-
different dude. He just looks similar because of the beard. He has a similar look, but he's a different dude. Upon closer inspection.
Okay. When a strange werewolf virus threatens to decimate first New York and then the
I
world, a rogue
already read
general
it, dude.
uses.
Oh, you're reading.
How
a
did I
different
miss
thing.
that? I'm reading the plot thing.
Oh, you're reading
A
the
rogue
plot thing.
general
Yeah, it's a
uses
different thing.
uses the disease to create an army of super soldiers.
I have seen this guy before. I know who. I can see why you would
Yeah, he from
recognize him.
he looks similar to the guy that I was talking about from that was in the Resident Evil movie. That's Carlos in the second movie, and third and later like the fifth one or something. Come on.
God, Ernie Hudson is 77? Shit.
Everybody gets older.
Not me. I'm playing to die
I would
young.
not have
Good sports.
thought that he was that old.
Here,
Based
I
on the
got
last
bad
time
news
I
for
saw
you.
him.
Growing
What?
old is mandatory. I mean, if you want to stay alive. Now, growing up is entirely optional.
I don't plan to grow up ever.
Oded Fair, I think is what it is. I think is how it's pronounced his name. Like that dude, I freaking love most of his work.
Damn it, Dan Aykroyd is
Right,
71?
Because he was also in the first two Mummy movies. Because the dude can play a good guy or a villain.
Hey, you got me on a tangent. Battle Dogs, Rotten Tomatoes audience score 18%.
Mm.
Oh, from what I can see of it, the movie looks terrible, and I don't care.
No, it's like it's got to
Ariana
be.
Richardson's one of the only people that I recognize. This guy Westy, I recognize him. I've seen that guy you were talking about in other stuff, but
Ben Anklam looks familiar. But going back to Tremors, because it's probably what we should do, and that whole thing. Yeah, so Graboid writes, you have a bunch of dumbass college kids who want to come down and be like, we're gonna go for this whole thing because we shouldn't be encroaching, humans shouldn't be encroaching on this thing's territory. It's like, you technically realize the Graboid would be considered an invasive species, considering the fact that humans live there first. I mean, granted, they were hibernative, but considering the fact they killed the first ones that got there, then it was calm, then they came back, and El Blanco's the only one who didn't metamorphosize because of being sterile or something or other. That, yeah, technically it'd be more of an, like, he's an endangered species, but he's still an invasive species.
Oh, yeah, and if you look at them, generally speaking, graboids are an extremely invasive species with the life cycle that they have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they are fucking massive consumers. Like, they would decimate a population of any animal.
Yeah, if it weren't necessarily for our ability to hurl rock at very fast speed, then we'd be in a pickle.
We would be, wouldn't we? But we're not. But yes,
and so they had someone different playing Mindy, and they have a guy who is apparently the son of a guy that Nancy had a fling with. And they called him Scarecrow. And apparently this dude's just trying to run for Congress. What a douchebag.
But he got arrested, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Still an inferior ending to him getting eaten by El Blanco.
Yeah, he should have gotten eaten by El Blanco. Instead his little errand boy got eaten by El Blanco.
So I'm curious to how do they just coax El Blanco back into the ground after they gave him the medicine? Because I'm pretty sure he'd have fucking ate everyone there.
He'd have ate a couple of them. Well, he'd have ate his fill and then he'd have left. I'm pretty sure, as like it was starting to get better, like you probably had Twitchell being like, everyone get back into your vehicles and get on the main road so you don't die. Because you're going to die if you don't. Not because of us, because El Blanco don't fuck around.
Again, feed the worm. Feed the worm.
Say, or at least get far enough back, or find spots where there's solid rock and everything. Because you figure, I mean, once he's recovering, he'll start trying to sense for food. Well, if they are far enough away and still he's not going to get them there, and he's going to take interest in
And
vibrations elsewhere.
I'll have to say, apparently his sensors aren't as good because you got to remember he kept the one dude up in the tower in the first movie. Well, not he, but one of the graboids did for 3 days until the dude died of dehydration.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you would think because of everything that happens and for that whole thing that there's the plausibility that excuse me, like he could sense like the heartbeats if they were just staying on the ground.
Well, they never can. I mean, even say in the first movie, they never really got to the notion of being able to sense at that level, because being completely stationary saved more than one person as far as that went. Although the graboid did tend to lie in wait for a significant period of time. But I think some of what you've got there, and Bert would have accounted for this just in a general thought from outside the outside the universe looking in, is graboids can't really triangulate.
They can if it's loud noises.
Well, no, it's they get a vector, but they don't get a distance.
Yeah.
You'd have to have two or three of them working in concert to be able to triangulate. So you have, I know a direction, but I don't know how far along that direction. And I don't.
I think it's the whole like loud, like some semi-loud noise-ish thing, or like vibration through the dirt. So it's like the heart, I kind of understand if they're standing, but they've had a couple of them, where they're like laying. And in a situation like that, like your heart's gonna be beating pretty fast, and you'd be surprised the fucking vibrations of like your breathing and everything would make.
Well,
yeah, I think a little bit of an inconsistency in the universe,
but that's to be taken, and there is the suspension of disbelief.
But for that original point, I don't think it was that he could sense the guy's heartbeat in the tower. I think the guy was just so fucking terrified that he just wouldn't fucking move.
Well, you also have to think, that thing's going down straight into 4 pieces of solid concrete that it's going to vibrate with the movement of the wind, so he adjusts a little bit vibrations throughout the whole fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for the tower and everything, the guy was
just fucking terrified. Like
I'm not sure how much of it was the noise he was making because of racing heart and breathing and stuff versus just general movement.
That's what I'm talking about. Just moving around on there. Plus, he probably took a couple pot shots at the dirt.
Oh, for sure.
So
and of course, you've got the one thing that they did have pretty consistent in the first movie with that is if the graboid actually knows for certain where you are, like where you're treed,
it'll wait.
It's gonna lie in wait. It's gonna stick with you. So you had it would follow from boulder to boulder,
unless it senses something else,
right? Unless
somewhat closer that it can perceive as food.
Yeah, unless a new food signal came up, or you have like the loud concussive force scaring it off. So you have you get back to the if they stop moving soon enough when El Blanco's approaching, and that granted El Blanco might be a little less sensitive than some of them. It just might be another factor of the abnormalities that made him albino and sterile.
Mm-hmm.
But even if he's just as sensitive, he's going off of a vector with no known distance. So if they stay quiet long enough before his approach, taking in mind that he's moving fast, and for
which
long
is weird
enough
because because I also do have a counter to that one. The way it's you got to remember those seismographs go off focally, and because they're an analog noise, they actually don't quiet down it takes a greater distance for them to quiet down. You'd think he would have heard that, and it's like, why do they go off and then stop? That seems like something that would just go off or vibrate.
Well, it seems like the wrist seismos. It seems like they do like a couple, 2-3 buzzes, vibrations, and then stop making noise, but continue to have a readout.
Yeah,
which would make sense. I mean, he's still, he's still.
I'm guessing
approaching
it's
that
most
direction.
likely because if memory serves me correctly in that thing, like I have half a feeling what they're not necessarily showing us because you always see someone like look at their watch and like almost seems like they go to touch it. The funny thing is, I always think it's because all of them are wearing those Seismo watches. You only hear one Seismo watch go off when they're all around.
I've never paid attention to that, but
neither have I.
now I'm gonna have to.
I always think weird shit. Sometimes
I'm gonna have to load 2 or 3 episodes just to look at it and see.
all you have to go through is episode 1.
Just like one vibration or buzzing noise, but everybody's looking at the wrist.
Yep. You hear the one indicator. That's it.
Well, now you got me thinking. Dang it.
It's kind of like when someone's ringer go off and then we all look at our phones trying to see if it's out.
Yeah, but in that whole situation, it'd be all of theirs because they're all going off the same thing. So it's like I understand what it is. It's that whole thing. They're going to play the alarm just the one time because it wouldn't make sense. It's like, no, I should say it would make more sense to have several go off at once depending on who's there.
Yeah, it would make sense for them to be synchronized, since if they're the exact same tech working on the same signal,
they'd be damn near synchronized. They wouldn't be perfect.
Noticeable delay in a space the size of a room would be non-existent. Noticeable
but you'd still
delay
be able to tell
if
that several happened at once. It wouldn't sound like just one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go back and check because it would not sound like one. It would be an amplified amount because you have more than one.
I only bring that up
off.
because that's the reason why most of the old school alarm clocks and especially fire alarms actually use an analog signal in that whole situation, or it's an analog audio signal for what that is. Because one, it's supposed to sound unnatural and everything. So even if you're asleep, it'll fucking burrow in. Because it's meant to get you on that one. Like, that's the reason why, and this isn't trying to pick on anyone, because I think Tyr actually replaces the battery in his fire alarms. When the fire alarm chirps, you hear it so well, and you're like, God damn it, where the... And because with those, they're a little harder to pinpoint unless you know where it's supposed to be coming from.
Yeah.
But it's meant to be something that instantly hits your senses.
Right.
Not like something you're like, oh, did I hear something? You're like, no, I fucking heard something. Where the hell did that shit come from?
Well, I had one that would definitely it was a heat alarm to go along with the smoke detector, because it's this little known fact that basically smoky fires tend to be not as hot and hot fires tend to be not as smoky.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if the fire is going really hot, it's got the potential of cooking your smoke detector before it has enough interaction with the off. So right next to the smoke alarms had these basically heat alarms, which was a completely analog mechanism. A round bell with a mechanical hammer and a spring good for at least 5 minutes. And all it took was a high enough temperature to release the safety on that. And that thing is ringing at, I don't know, 100 decibels for 5 minutes.
Yeah. With what we're talking about, it's like that's the reason why, like I said, when it comes to like the fire alarms, and I'm pretty sure most of us have done this once or 6 times in their life, to where you cook something and it tends to be a bit smokier, so it sets off your fucking smoke detector.
Every time my roommate makes bacon in the oven.
I am very good at unplugging the smoke alarm in my apartment.
I am so glad when I was living with my folks and that would happen to me, I could basically, I was able, I'm tall enough with a long enough arm, I can reach up and just twist it off. Because every time that's happened, I just twist them off, then bring them out into the garage.
Now, that's something I wish I'd thought of on the smoke alarms I had in the one house, because to go along with those heat sensors, the smoke alarm, of course, it had a battery.
Yeah.
It basically had onboard capacitors that you pull it down if it's still detecting the smoke. You pull it down, pull the battery out. If it's still detecting the smoke, it'll still go off.
Yeah.
Just based on the capacitor for 8 to 10 minutes.
I did the whole thing of, it's like you hit the reset, pull it off, bring it out in the garage. And I bring it out in the garage because when I was living with my folks, like, they have a dog. And you gotta think, that's already loud and obnoxious to a human, and dogs have better ears than we do. I mean,
oh yeah, that would be torture to a dog. Just
granted, the dog's also like 12 years old, so it's even worse. It's like we're not trying to.
Poor doggy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, that's why every time I think something might smoke a little more out of my air fryer when I use like bake or something like that, like I always make sure I'm turning my ram vent on for the overhead the stove.
But yeah, taking that to the wrist size modes, I just figure you end up with, there is a buzzer in there, just the vibration mechanism like modern smartwatches have, smartphones have, and maybe a small electronic buzzer. And if I was
have a fucking
designing,
chirp just go off.
I might have had a. Yeah, I had a beep because looks like
Sorry, I heard that shit in the background. I'm like, wait, what the? Okay, we're going over this shit. What the fuck?
sorry,
it's
Monkey started streaming on Rumble.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's streaming on freaking YouTube right now. He was supposed to start at 11.
He starts when he wants.
I know he started earlier because I got my notification.
And it could just be delayed notification too. Just Ranting Monkey started streaming.
He's still streaming, and I'm showing YouTube that he's streaming now. We're going, I got a new subscriber of Gregory Hurst. So if you're currently listening, dude, thank you for the subscribe. I am almost to 30 subscribers. That is fucking awesome.
Woo! Project 40.
Toss that like in there too, because there's one stream I give the obligatory dislike. Everyone else is based on my take on the content of the stream or the video. But Frosted Glass in the Corner, I forget to like a lot of them. But Frosted Glass in the Corner gets my obligatory dislike every single time. And then when they throw the reminder to like the stream, if I haven't thrown the dislike in there, I toss it in then. Because, hey, it's interaction and it's Frosted.
Frosted doesn't mind.
He doesn't mind. He's a great sport about it. I've been on the show. It's like, oh, yeah, obligatory dislike given, and he chuckles.
But going back to the show and that whole thing. So, for Graboid Rights, you have a bunch of college students because someone's trying to say that their thing is that El Blanco was sick and that humans are causing the issue. And then, lo and behold, you find out that they were
humans were causing the issue
by proxying them.
Yeah.
Humans were causing the issue, but it was the people that were trying to
supposedly saving him.
Yep, and I still love the fact that Nancy was the one that called her out. She's just like, so instead of tailoring your research to around, or your paper around what you found, you tailored El Blanco to go around your research. Now it's like, oof, like that's hitting some levels of like some creationists.
I've got to say that definitely that hit me with a nice little twist there, because I was expecting some of it. You know, they're messing with El Blanco to get the results.
Mm-hmm.
But I was still running on the notion that the research was basically
Flawed.
solid conclusions for fake data.
Yeah.
It was solid conclusions for solid data. They faked the cause.
Yeah. Like, I was actually almost expecting it to be like a different variation of the machine used in the first episode that was causing El Blanco to go nuts.
Oh, I was hoping that it was like they find out it's all a lie and she's just doing this shit because, like, instead of having a whole, it's true, or we're messing with her, it's, I just came to a whole shit ton of conclusions based on shit that I really don't know anything about.
Well, as soon as she showed up with the group of students and everything, you knew that there was something fishy with the report.
Yeah.
And that was the twist that they threw in there, because I mean, Nancy looked at it, the scientists looked at it, and everybody's getting, everybody who reads the reports reaching the same conclusion, including people that you have some reason to believe are rational and not with the whole graboid rights conspiracy. And then, there's going to be a twist.
And then you have Bert, who's just like, I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Because it's that
like
whole
Bert doesn't
thing.
Trust anything.
Well,
except his guns.
He does, because he has grown to, he trusts Nancy, he trusts Tyler, Rosalita, Jody. He's even, from what we're showing, growing to trust like Cletus, the new researcher chick that's been the past 2 episodes, the redhead that Tyler seemed like he was going to go after for a little bit, but then no.
Shot down.
Yeah, she seemed like she was still flirting with him a little bit after shooting him down, but I don't know. She looks like she's a little bit more interested in Bert if you get past the conspiracy theorist line
Bert
he's got.
need to bang.
But Bert's not interested. He's
Bert
there for
Bert
fun.
has one love and one love only, and that's El Blanco.
Well, and that whole thing, if it's that she kind of has an interest in him, I think it's more of the fact of he is very, very distrustful in a lot of things. So he kind of has an open mind, but he wants to be blatantly proven.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not blatantly proven, he has an issue with it.
His skepticism is
overdeveloped.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you also take that he's
it,
kind of got the scientific approach to it though too, because he's like, he disbelieved the report the one gal came out with, and what did he do? He started he had his own theory that not a refined theory that this is exactly what's going on, but that something is causing the wrong other than what this one researcher says. So he doesn't just
doing his own research.
Hold on.
Yeah, he doesn't just spout off on it. He starts collecting information, collecting data,
because he's doing
his
the
own
exact
research.
thing that he's supposed to be doing. He's using the scientific method. If her theory is correct, then whatever he brings up, there should be nothing should be nothing to the contrary of it. So if her theory can be easily proven, it's like repeatable and proven, she has nothing to worry about. But it wasn't. Now, he did know, it's like, I think what got Dr. Matthews a little more interested in him was the whole fact of like, he looks at the whole thing and he's like, yeah, it's this type of thing, and some of that shit's used in homemade explosives. She's like, okay, he knows chemical compounds. It's kind of hot.
Yeah. And, if you want to at least perk the interest of a scientist, start using the scientific method in your skepticism and
talk dirty to me, baby.
And then that went further into it, but like the big thing about it was that whole thing that, when he showed up with the sample, he's like, analyze this. And he was flat out being like, if she's right, this will prove her right. If she's wrong, this is going to disprove her. And I do think in that whole situation is where she was just like, Okay, I got way more respect than I realized I have for this man.
Yeah, he's not just a kook conspiracy theorist. He disagrees with this report, but he's interested in the science of it and wants the evidence
No, it's
tested,
true.
wants the facts to come out. Yeah, he's convinced that she's wrong, but he's willing to have that
If he's wrong, but he wants to be
falsified.
proved wrong.
Yeah, if he's wrong, he wants to be proved wrong. He wants the testing to show that, not just somebody who's done their own testing, done their own measurements of information, that he does not get the raw data and does not get the testing himself. That's one of those things. The studies, like if a group does a study and doesn't share the data that they worked from, you already know that it's bogus.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I can't test all of this, but I can gather some evidence. I can gather some material to do some testing that will either corroborate or disprove what she is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, they found that it disproved what she was saying in a certain way, because she was collecting technically correct evidence by poisoning
But
Blanco.
It was just
Okay. I got a small. Maybe this is something that doesn't make sense, but something doesn't make sense to me. So she's out there doing this testing, and they tend to circle the perimeter and watch for.
How was she able to do her testing without Bert noticing her for years?
Exactly. Well, not even years, but at all. Like, how is that even fucking possible?
That is a gap.
Yeah, and that should have been brought up as more evidence. Like, there's no way in hell you could have done it for that, what you're saying, for that long. And, like, as far as we know, the only set of graboids is here. It's not like you went to another graboid research facility and, I worked with the think tank that does this shit.
Yeah.
So you have no basis to even form a hypothesis or a baseline. So we know how dogs act, right? We have hundreds of dogs in different stages, and we can test, we know the dog is being mistreated because its ears are down, it's skittish, it's losing hair.
It's a suspension of disbelief. They're not expecting people to truly I into it. I mean,
know.
It's going to be that whole thing that you watch it, and you're going to watch it for the fun whimsicalness. And I will say, for the trivia thing on there, it's like, I will agree, Bert does for that episode show an amazing amount of self-control. Like, he almost lost it in freaking A Little Paranoia Amongst Friends, but I'm surprised he didn't come out armed with not the Barrett, but with one of his other guns that would have.
Yeah, there's no way he was touching the Barrett after that.
Well, no, not after that.
He would have done that.
Because
he wouldn't have gone that far.
It's the whole thing of, while the Barrett is good and scary, it's only got about 10 rounds, and there's like 60 people there or more. So his AR or his H&K would be exponentially better.
Oh yeah. But I'm just saying, after A Little Paranoia Amongst Friends, all of that build up and
nothing to pay off.
Yeah, I mean,
it gets brought up.
He basically he got cock blocked at the last moment and everything, and
because the Barrett doesn't get used in Bloodlines because of the whole thing that's going on in Africa with moving that shit.
Right.
And they only use the 308, so it basically just kind of sits there.
Yeah, it's the. I think that once the gun went on his wall, he never touched it again. If he didn't get rid of it and replace it with another.
He still shot it in the first episode. He just never used it up against a graboid, which is what he wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but and you figure he got it for the purpose of ultimately a graboid, to get blocked at the last second on that. He's not. I mean, this is Bert. He's not picking up that gun again.
Oh, he will. He's not that bad. He'll be mad,
He
but
might-
he'll still. It's not the gun's fault.
Okay, I'll take that. Still would be some, still would be a extreme circumstance. It's not something he's going to be.
Because after this series, there's a 12-year gap between this TV series and Bloodlines, and apparently, Bert is still fighting graboids, but he's forced apparently to keep some alive due to being an endangered species. So it's probably that whole thing that they have certain spots to where the graboid can't get out because of it being or not
But
mutating.
the problem isn't keeping the graboid contained in that regards. If you don't have another sterile one like El Blanco, you've got the rest of the life cycle, which is not going to be limited by terrain.
Yeah, that's why I was saying if it was another, not eunuch.
They would need another box
Sterile.
canyon.
Yeah,
Yeah, if they found another sterile graboid, he'd definitely he would be kept from killing it if they had reason to believe it was sterile by then. But at that point, you're going to have to be where several hatch at the same time, and it's either he knows it's likely to be because it's another albino, or you have 2 or 3 that get to the shrieker stage, and this one goes significantly longer without doing it.
But that will require massive observation, and that would be too much risk to take.
I mean, it would have to be by coincidence, the same way that El Blanco was, or catch an albino to begin with.
yeah.
Because you know that, based on everything else and the fact that he walks a thin line with the Bureau of Land Management and Department of the Interior, that if he saw another albino graboid and didn't hesitate, at least, they'd bury him.
Yeah. But
They would
again,
bury him
that's
in
a
the
whole
box.
thing. That's a whole thing that's between when this series ends and the movie. But yeah, going back to the actual TV show and that whole thing, you got the only thing that I did think was kind of stupid at the end of Graboid Rights was they figure out the cure, but then obviously because Mindy was the one who figured out that they were poisoning El Blanco, that she has to fast pitch softball throw the cure in. It's just like, is that necessary? Like,
yeah, that was one of the couple of things that that broke the suspension of disbelief, and the scientists in the first place, just having the recognition. If Bert had rushed in to save her life and addressed her by name, rather than the whole general stranger kind of approach they did, that would have, okay, she's been around the valley for months at least studying El Blanco then. Because, and I think Tier's right there, is you got that little thing, the fact that he doesn't recognize her's had no interaction. He knows everything that goes on in the valley in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Now, when you take it to the end of the episode, and they're like, "We've only got one shot at this," because they're saying they only had one dose of the antidote. They had enough antidote ingredients on the counter in the store to make
and depend on the whole
50
thing
doses that size.
And depend on how much rock salt they used was the only thing, and he would have came back with more than just the one part.
Yeah, and it's like,
and honestly, for using rock salt for a water purification thing, it's not going to come in a bag that small.
No, those are 50-pound bags, and
those are fucking big ass bags. They're 25 to 50-pound bags.
I used to have to lift those. They're like almost 100 pounds.
Yeah. That's why I said it
And-
depends on which size bag it is. Like him coming in and it's like about the size of a bag of chips. Like no.
Yeah, no,
But
the
again,
small bags you're looking at about, say, the small bags I see at the grocery store about 40 to 50, and we got deliveries of large bags. You know, like Angela's at 100 pounds a bag, definitely. And Bert would have had dozens of them, and there's no way that Tyler would have been. Well, I'm gonna grab a Ziploc bag, you know, a gallon size Ziploc bag worth. It would have been. I'm gonna grab a full bag, maybe two,
just to be safe.
Yeah, even if they said, hey, we only need 5 to 10 pounds of it. If they said we need 5 to 10 pounds of it, he would have grabbed a whole bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they didn't specify how much and they didn't get on the radio and check, he would have grabbed 2.
And my whole
And if he
thing
was talking to Bert, Bert would have, you know, and Bert knew how much. And he said, well, they say we need 10 pounds, so bring 4 bags.
Yeah. But then, like, the thing of why I was like, it kind of was retarded in that whole thing was if you look at Flora and Fauna before that, when they're going to do their whole parasailing type thing, you know, the chick was just like, I'll do it because I'm the lightest, I can go the furthest. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it because I will go far enough.
Right.
And she's like, you know, one of us has, it's like what? It's like in danger. And he's like, yes, and only one of us is. Basically saying it's like because she's a scientist, she should, it's like not because she's a woman, but because she's a scientist, if something fails, she needs to be able to think of a secondary option.
Yeah, she keeping her alive makes sense.
So in that whole thing, it would have made more sense that, like, with the whole fact of his fast reflex, it's like Tyler's fast reflexes, it's like, you know, being almost a pro NASCAR driver and everything, it would have made more sense and he would not have had that stumbling like he did. Like, they did that dumb shit just to give Mindy the next win. You know, because she got to save her hometown.
Well, she needed a moment like a Boromir moment, only they should have just let her die. But
no,
well, she had her Boromir moment when she called out what Chad had done, of how he had Ray doing that, and then called out the other scientist lady of doing that shit.
Yeah, she had the redemption arc there.
Yeah,
you know
He
what
turned everything on Chad.
What it should have been is that everybody from the town working together to give El Blanco the pill.
I can give you one better than that tier.
throw it in Chad's arms and chuck him in.
Well, think of it this way. Basically, they come out with this dose of antidote, and they're working to it. Chad basically, let's say that they didn't cuff him properly, so
He tried to escape.
he elbows the marshals, runs in, grabs the antidote, basically starts doing this. You're not going to do this, you know, goes into a tirade on how how this whole thing with El Blanco is going to make him and prove him right and everything, take a bad step, get caught by the grabbers, and be the antidote delivery mechanism himself.
Yeah.
Better for you. The tirade, he's going, I'm going to be a senator, and from there, I can see the presidency.
Yeah.
You know?
Just the megalomaniacal direction he was,
and nice little
trajectory he was on already.
And just to say it as well, nice. You were almost there, Terry. You got to remember to get that little extra in there when you're going for your little bit of Nixon-esque in there.
I'm going to be
the president.
Oh. Yeah, yeah, but that'd have been a good one. It instead of them trying to stop him, he goes in there and El Blanco belches it like a shoe or something up, and then goes away. That'd
be perfect too, because he gets swallowed. That'd be perfect because he gets swallowed. The antidote, of course, gets delivered, and he gets hacked up, and just have Bert say, "Well, I guess he's still got indigestion."
Yeah. He'd just Bert just walk up and be like, "You are one lucky man. You're the only other person who survived being eaten by a graboid."
Oh, I don't think he should have survived it. But
Oh no! You have him survive, but you have him like lose an arm or something.
Oh no! You don't even have that. You have him survive. Have him on tape being vomited out by El Blanco, and Hedberg goes, clearly he has better taste.
and
now
then have Tyler say, or he still got indigestion.
Yeah, so you have me like, well, clearly, Chad was bad for his health.
and then have him covered in like that ick vomit thing, and then have the marshals cart him off. Like, come on, Stinky.
Yeah.
Now he's humiliated. He just revealed his true colors that no one in his own national news. He revealed his true colors, and no one will ever fucking touch him.
And all the evidence has come out on top, so that even if even the true believers come out to we
fucked up.
This is worse than PETA kidnapping dogs from people's porches and putting them down before they drive away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or the animals that get given to PETA to take care of, because in that whole thing. So what does PETA do to put them down? They leave them to die in a freezer.
Really?
Well,
Yep.
Those are the less lucky ones, because you really do not want to turn pets over to them, because the last I had seen any information, evidence on it, most of them were euthanized before the van left.
So this is okay.
Better dead than a pet.
No, all right. It's ow. Okay, my cat. She is not a slave.
That
She's not a slave.
sounds like slave owner hate speech to PETA.
She's not a slave.
Oh, and I got a great idea when he's going through and it's like Chad has the freaking like the cure and whatnot, and they're trying to figure out, and then when he gets grabbed by El Blanco, you have Rosalita being like, El Blanco going to, I will send you to Jesus.
And again, it should be a while. Like it takes him under. El Blanco goes under, and they're like, "Well, I think that's the last we've seen of him." And then he hears some rumble underneath, and he gets vomited back up. It goes.
Yes, that is definitely. It's only a little bit, but that is definitely superior to him being eaten and killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that again. Now he's going to prison. They also have him for like his crimes are sabotage. Harming an endangered species,
domestic terrorism.
Terrorism. Like there's no way in hell he's not getting serious time. And the scientist should be arrested too. Like it shows.
Yeah. She's definitely getting at least 2/3 of his sentence, just because I don't think. She was directly involved in the poisoning and the bombing. So yeah, she's getting his whole sentence.
Well, at least of the poisoning of El Blanco, the bombing maybe not so much. That was predominantly Ray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ray was the one doing a lot of the poisoning too. Yeah. Well, no, I think he just procured the poison, because I think the poison was in those tubes that she was burying, that she was pretending were scientific
that was the
instruments.
Portions of it. And that, but with Ray, it's, he actually never really cared about any of the endangered species. He protested save. He only cared about the publicity it would earn him and his organization.
That's Chad.
No, that was also Ray.
Chad.
Ray was
the terrorist, the actual bomber.
Yeah, Ray was the one that was basically any means to justify my ends.
Yeah.
Like Ray, all right. So Chad would at least get
but
criminal
conspiracy. Chad didn't want his hands to be dirty on that. That's why it's like he would do what he was doing.
Right, but there's if they could tie Ray and the scientist to him and prove what Ray and the scientists were doing, there was no way he would go free.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they don't even like. They have testimony, like they have evidence, like they have the witness testimony. The scientist admitted that under his orders he did it.
Mhm.
They
Her
also
orders.
have
She admitted on the live TV. I mean, she is
Yeah.
going down forever.
if Ray had lived, he'd have went down, she'd have went down, and Chad went down. Like Chad would have got the most. Ray probably would have got shit for bombing and destruction of government property, way a lot. And
he got destruction of government property, destruction of private property.
Criminal trespass, domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
criminal mischief.
Vandalism. Say vandalism and malicious mischief.
And those are the lighter ones.
Yeah, they basically could have thrown a law book the size of a BMW at him.
At him, Ray, and her.
Yeah.
And
They'd have been like, look, you're going away for a long time, and you're probably never going to get out.
And mind you, these are federal crimes. So they're going to federal prison, not state.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they broke some state crimes too. It's just that one, the feds are going to come in and say, yeah, you can incarcerate their corpses when they are done with their life sentences.
Sorry. I just like that description.
But I think I'm going to call it there because I'm going to have to use the bathroom here shortly. And it's like 1:30 in the a.m. for the East Coast.
Yeah, you gotta check your culture.
I have to get up in the morning for more training.
Yeah, I still got to go to
2
work.
more weeks and I don't have to wake up early anymore.
I still got to go to work tomorrow and then Tuesday, and then I don't have to go back until the following week's Thursday and Friday because I took the 3 days off before the weekend of my birthday and the 3 days off after the weekend of my birthday because I'm like, I don't feel like going into work for like 8 days.
Hey, I don't blame you. I like
Neither
to
do
take
I.
off. I like to take off a few days around my birthday. So I mean,
Oh, the only reason why I did it was because it got to about July and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I haven't used a single day of my vacation yet this year. I better start scheduling some of this.
nice. I definitely have. I manage mine very carefully, but I schedule at specific times where I figure I'm not going to be fit for human consumption.
No.
Well, I say that I should say like egregiously less fit for human consumption than normal. Might be a little more accurate.
Well, it's like I'm not going to start drinking and probably till a bit later in the day and whatnot. That'll be closer to when I'm making dinner and that whole thing, since I am going out to lunch with my folks and some friends, and because it's not just my birthday that we're celebrating, because my buddy and his wife, their birthdays are within like 3 days of each other, and and he's like 2 weeks older than I am.
Nice. Well, I mean,
And then we
going with the drinking with the cooking makes sense. I mean, if you're cooking with beer or if you're cooking with wine, it's criminal not to make sure you got good beer and wine for it, right?
Oh no,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be air frying a pork loin.
Okay, well, pretend it's beer battered and have some beer.
Why? I have rum. That's what I.
Oh,
drink.
even better. Started the stream with the rum and coke.
I'm gonna try to make sure I take a picture of the pork loin when it's done, and then one on my plate when I get that, because I know I'm gonna be doing broccoli with it, and I haven't figured out if I want another side yet. And then basically that's probably gonna be what the background I'm gonna put on when I'm on Tier's stream that night.
Huh?
So everyone's just gonna get to see my food.
I gotta say, I got no problem with seeing pictures of good food, even if including food I can't eat. So I mean,
Well, shit,
hey, if
Will, you want to be on? I haven't asked for a guest. You want to be on this weekend?
I just know it was funny because of being on with Tier's show last night. That because of saying if I were ever on Frost's show, I might have to bubble my own rum. That's when Frosted is just like, put your money where your mouth is. And I'm like, all right, I got this Friday off, and I got like the last 2 Fridays of October off. I've been trying to hint at it without actually asking for a while now. Like trying to hint out, hey Frosted, if you need to guess one of these days, let me know.
you know, Tier, I could definitely do that if you want.
Okay, that saves me the energy and the effort of having to go ask around. All right, it's you.
Well,
See, and that's when you know that I like you and your stream more than I like Jack and Quippers, because I typically make him at least try to find other guests first.
God damn.
Oof.
I haven't offered to be on Quippers in a while. I probably should. I'll have to look at one of the days I'm down from the gym, just because I hate trying to go to the gym early and make it back in time for that.
Truth is, I rarely say no to anybody inviting me on a stream, unless it's like if it's at a time I can't make, if I got a prior commitment, something like that, or if I'm really not well, I'll beg off. But if Jack asked me like a week in advance and I had the time open on that day, I'd be like, yeah, I guess I can do it.
I guess. I mean, I don't want to confirm.
Well, that's the other thing I'm looking forward to is I should be able to pull off some streams in that whole thing, or it's like at least another stream since I'll have the day, that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
Mhm.
Just the only time I won't be streaming is during the AAA. I'm wondering who they're going to be using for Wednesday.
Rotn.
Yeah.
What are you going to stream? Any game?
I have no idea. I'm gonna do something. I do know. I think I might do the ammo thing for the FBI from going from the 40 Smith and Wesson 9mm as a stream, just because. But I'm trying to convince a buddy of mine to do a gun stream with me, or at least like gun/ammo.
Okay.
But that'll probably just be me and him. And if we plausibly could, one of the other guys I know in the military. But that's a future thing of a plausibility. There's no guarantee with that one, but we are gonna call it. Obviously, you can find Tier on his stream on Saturdays for the midnight show. Will does stuff. He watches he paints and watches paint dry occasionally. Angela has
that's
things.
Actually, earlier that Saturday we should be watching paint dry. So, entertainment speaking, Tears will be a 1-up.
Oof.
Angela has some things in the work that she's going to be working on. I believe it's the comic book Curated.
Yes.
Is the working title currently. And once James gets a little more back onto his feet and can get his computer set up, he'll probably doing some nerd out streams and some other stuff as well. So there's plenty of things. I'm pretty sure I have everybody's thing in there. Yep.
You gotta forget Terry Bots. All the shit he does.
I mean, pretty much you throw a stone, it's a higher plausibility. Like with our circle, Terry's going to be on one of their streams.
If you stick the entire YouTube catalog printout to the wall and you throw darts against it, 80% of them will hit streams that Terry's on.
In some form or fashion.
But you know what? I will say before we go, because I haven't gotten a chance to use it, Chad definitely should have died, and the fact that he didn't is
emotional damage.
I had to find a way to put it in there somewhere.
Fair enough.
But we are going to call it and get out of here. Any parting words today, Tier?
Go to the movies.
Will?
Have a good one.
And Angela?
Here stole mine.
No, you say go to the theater. He said go to the movies.
Oh,
Theater could also
go
mean
to the theater.
not just going to see a movie. You could go to see an actual play. I have nothing against that. I mean, for fuck's sake, way back in the day, I say way back in the day, like several years ago, I went and saw Wicked in theater in Albuquerque.
Oh my god, it's so good, isn't it?
It was actually better than I expected, but I wanted to go see Book of Mormon after that and just never got to. But we are out of here. Have a good one, everyone. And
Good night.